I'm Em,
And I'm Lex.
and we're thrilled to welcome you to the Ready, Set, Coach podcast.
Now, we're not just your hosts. We're also mamas, entrepreneurs, coaches, friends, and co-founders of the Ready, Set, Coach community.
What began as a pandemic side hustle has blossomed into a vibrant online community crafted by coaches for coaches.
So when we're not immersed in our coaching community on Circle, we're busy managing our other businesses, navigating the ups and downs of life, and of course, recording this podcast.
This is where we dive deep into epic conversations about life, business, coaching,
and everything in between.
So are you ready, Lex?
I'm set, Em.
Let's coach. Hello.
We're back!
We're back, baby. It's just you and me, and we're gonna talk about all the things.
Okay, I'm having deja vu, or this really did happen. Didn't this come up in the conference and I kept saying we're back to Cali?
Oh, yeah, you did. And I said,
The song you just sang.
no, what did I sing?
You sang a different one, but that wasn't what came to your mind. So when we say
it's all coming back. It's all coming back to me now. Celine Dion.
Verse, we're going back to Cali. Please slide into our DMs. And when someone says we're back, what song comes to your brain?
Backstreet's back.
All right. Oh, God. Were you Backstreet or Team NSYNC?
Fun fact, AJ McLean went to my middle school, but we didn't overlap. So I felt like I was probably more team. I was more team Backstreet Boy.
Okay. I didn't know many of you. I was very team NSYNC.
NSYNC?
But you know my Backstreet Boy story.
Yes, you flew on a private plane with them and they held you when you were
Had a
nauseated.
panic attack.
Yeah.
It was great.
Right? I forgot. Why did you have a panic attack?
Semi-private. Jet Suite X?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because first off, I don't love flying and there was so much turbulence and it was like a really small plane.
Yeah.
I thought I was dying. It was like
I found an Instagram account recently that I decided not to follow, but it was documenting every flight that took off and had something happen. Like it'd be like the window blew out or person lights something on fire or bomb threat and turns back and those kind of recordings. And I was like, no, yeah, I don't think so.
I don't want to know that.
Less I know, the better. I just get on a tube and hope that I don't explode.
A tube. We haven't had a fully time to catch up. Quick little squirrel here. I just flew to Reno with Ashlyn and this was our first her and I flight at this stage, right? I feel like right now every stage is a little different. I've flown with her many times alone, but not recently. Now this too.
In her own seat too, right?
And she had her own seat. Yeah. I borderline, what made me think of this, almost had a full-on meltdown and panic attack 3 times. First and foremost, again, this happened to me pregnant. No one wanted to help. So she was screaming. I was falling. It was trying to get the luggage up and everyone just stares and no one was nice. No one was accommodating. So I felt a lot of pressure to keep moving quickly. I couldn't fit. Anyway, so getting on the plane, I was very flustered. The plane ride itself was rough, but at the end, massive turbulence hit and I had to keep it together because I didn't want to have a panic attack when I'm flying alone with my kid. And that was interesting. I did keep it together for the most part. She thought it was fun. She was like, I was
mommy's gonna puke right now and pass out and lose her SHIT. I'm curious, did she stay in her seat or did you bring a car seat on?
No, I did not bring a car seat on. And no, she did not stay in her seat. She was in her seat on me all over the place. This poor 22-year-old kid sat next to us, who clearly did not know what he was signing up for.
Yeah. It's the worst. It's funny how people can either be helpful or they can be they can just ignore you and be so dismissive of you. And on my last flight with Jackson, this woman didn't even acknowledge his existence and he kept trying to offer her candy and it was sad.
I would punch her. I would punch her.
Versus other people who are like, oh my God, I'm a mom, I get it. Or I have a grandkid or I know a child that
it makes you feel that small comment, at least for me, can make all the difference in the world in a situation like that. So like, guys, if you haven't said something nice to someone today, that's your homework. We're starting with homework.
Seriously, I love it. I think that's great homework. And then also, pro tip, bring the car seat on to lock them in. Oh, that was so helpful to lock them in.
Toddler car seat works.
Oh yeah, it fits in there, and it's more of a schlep, but putting that on, and like it's a space that they're familiar with, as long as she's not someone that like hates her car seat, and it's familiar, and it like keeps them locked in.
Oh my God. Okay, sorry, last squirrel, and then we're moving on because I know this has been like a 10-minute intro, but
Yeah, I know.
tell
You're
you
like, all right, fast forward.
on the way to the airport, I had to pull over twice on the freeway because she vomited twice. And so her to this day, I still need to clean her car seat, which still has vom all over it. Anyways, everyone really, is so grateful I shared that. So lots of lessons learned, lots of lessons learned about flying with children. Also, lots of lessons learned from hosting our very first conference.
And was that just last week that we did this?
Was it?
Yeah, it was, right? The 13th.
What is time?
I know, insane. Guys, our time, like when we do something, it's like life quantum leaps forward at such a fast pace for us. We're like, oh, wow, we did that last week. Huh, how did we do that with traveling or whatever? But first off, I want to just start with like applause and a pat on the back for launching our first conference. One thing I'm really proud to say that Lexi and I have both done is like when we say something, we typically commit to it and we take action and do it. And even if the action feels really uncomfortable and out of our comfort zone, we're like, we said it to the world, we've got to push through and figure out how to make X, Y, and Z come to life. So this idea for a conference was really born out of that Lexi and I have so much more that we haven't really been able to share in the extent that we've wanted to share of our own expertise. And so this conference was kind of like a bonus to the launch pack and a bonus to the Ready, Set, Coach group program, where I was diving deeper into things that lit us up and light us up, which include PR, events, and networking.
Yeah. And, I don't think it's a secret at this point, but this transition from Ready, Set, Coach being a group program to a community, a free community, has been kind of like a big incubator for us in figuring out different ways that we want, keyword want, to monetize, right? Because there's a million and one things that we could do. We've been really thoughtful, slow, and intentional on what that looks like. And to Em's point, we decided, okay, here's something we're really feeling called to do, a conference. Now, what does this look like? What is our version of the conference? If you want to hear about it, there's a whole episode. So I don't think we're going to spend a lot of time going into necessarily all the upfront nuts and bolts. What we do want to spend today is reflect back on the myriad of lessons that we have learned, good, bad, and everything in between.
We could be professors of lessons at this point of our life.
Yes.
Of all the things. Okay, so as we all mentioned, we had our first conference May 13th. It was, I'm just going to recap the specifics really quickly, just in terms of like the amount of time that it was, from 9 a.m. till 3 p.m. Pacific time. Just so you know, that's like, it was a one-day conference. It all lived virtually. And I would say that the biggest thing that we learned, and it's always so funny, like hindsight is really 2020, but we really thought we wanted volume. So we had ended up with about 15 people attending our conference. And before the conference, truth be told, Lex and I were a little bummed. We're like, that sucks. Only 15 people. That's annoying. We should have 115 people. We should have 215 people. And gosh almighty, I am so glad we did not, because in the conference, one of the things that we promised to deliver was implementation of the work that we were teaching. And so we gave people space and time to build out their signature event, space and time to build out their PR strategy, their networking strategy that worked for them. And we gave feedback on it. So we had 15 people in like 30 minutes writing out their whole entire event strategy, and us giving them like full on attention and feedback. And Lex, could you imagine had that been?
We couldn't have. I mean, it literally, we would have failed. We would have been like, oh,
Sorry about that.
I mean, I almost want to laugh at us a little bit. Like, we were so excited about this format. And to your point, like, we're like, oh, we're going to, have a very accessible price point compared to other things we've sold in the past. And thus we're going to get like hordes of people, yet completely not in alignment with the format we selected. So something you guys can take from that is to be very, very mindful of, and I think this is transferable from a conference to a group program, etc., that what you're offering matches your capacity.
Yep.
Big lesson.
Lesson number one, capacity versus offering. And you don't really know until you know. And this can be a whole side conversation too about like the first time you price something, you really won't know the value of the price until you've experienced the work that you've put forth. So lesson number one, you don't know until you know, but remember, quality is so much better than quantity. And to that same point, I think what the other lesson, Lex, I feel like this is something that we struggle with. We're so good at shouting out other people and like bragging and introducing and whatnot other people, but sometimes when it comes to marketing ourselves, it's not our strongest point.
This could be seen as an excuse, and I think a little bit it is an excuse, because I default to, with Emily and I have our hands on so many different things. Emily has multiple businesses. I have multiple businesses. We're moms. We're also, coaches. We have a lot of things going on. And I think it's really, we have lives, but I think it's really easy for us to, like, I think we know how much we need to market, but then we don't really do it, which is, actually a good reminder for us too, as we, coach and talk about how to market to our clients. Like, we need to practice what I preach. And this isn't to say we didn't do some marketing, but we did. We definitely did. We sent lots of emails. We did lots of postings. We did a lot. But what we learned is, really, if we had wanted to achieve that volume, we would have needed to like steroid it. Yeah. Like, we had ambitions to do ads. We did one for like a day, then I turned it off, and then I was like,
So again, back to taking our own advice, the consistency and being more consistent with it and top of mind with it. And I think what was fascinating, like most of the tickets that we got came from that first part of our marketing push. And it also came from our warm audience that knew, liked, and trusted us.
Yeah. Which was actually really exciting.
Yeah.
Because again, transparently, with a free community, like, why would are we Mother Teresa's? Why are we doing a free community? There is part that's really impact driven, but there's also the reality that one day we need to monetize. So it was beautiful to see that people we've been pouring so much into with nothing in return were listening, and they wanted to learn from us. So it was cool to see kind of like the first little give back from a financial standpoint. Hey everyone, Lex here.
And Em.
And if you haven't heard, we did something pretty darn cool.
We sure did. We launched a completely free community built specifically for coaches.
Say it again for the people in the back.
We launched a free community for coaches. Tell them quickly who it's for and what we're doing inside, Lex.
Sure thing. So it's for anyone from the coaching curious to side hustlers to coaches ready to scale. And through the virtual platform that we've built, we've created a safe and fun space to learn, launch, grow, connect, ideate, collaborate, vent, and evolve together.
Nailed it, Lex. Now, while it's free, you must apply in order to gain a free membership. So we can make sure everyone inside is awesome, like us.
Apply today at ReadySetCoachCommunity.com. In terms of objections, we didn't get one objection on price. So I think we priced it really well. I actually never was worried about that. More so, why more people didn't buy was they couldn't make the date and time, which seems obvious, but it really does impact attendance, especially on something like a conference. We did a Monday. Monday. Let's just start with that. Did not realize at the time it was the Monday after Mother's Day.
Yep.
My head hurt. It's fine. But a lot of people were like, oh my God, we really want to go, but like, I can't come that day. And so we would have had more, blessing in disguise that we didn't, because I don't know how we would have serviced all of them. But the day and time really did impact ticket sales.
Yeah. And I think that's an interesting learning for us and reflection point. Like once we get our survey results back to see like what day of week would make most sense for people if perhaps we do it again.
Yeah, we were just talking, well, real quick on that, we were talking again, like, because so many people did say, I really want to do this, but I can't.
Yeah.
I think one thing we're toying with, don't hold us to this, but I
I
think
know.
what we're going to do is poll before we set another date, is poll our community and ask what day would work best rather than us to, I mean, you
Yeah.
literally just said that. I'm just reinforcing that we would, beyond just the people who came, ask people like what day, what month would work best.
Yeah. And then maybe do it again like crazy people. But speaking of crazy people, I think the flow was fire. So Lex and I were a little anxious when we walked into a day full of go, go, go. We've gone to a multitude of conferences where we felt like depleted and exhausted by lack of break. And we really did a great job. And I want to again pat us on the back for this, but like we built in a lot of breaks. We built in a lot of breaks. We built in a lot of like recharge moments. And I mean, I think we've both like hosted thousands of events at this point or Zoom sessions. So think like we didn't see the glassy eyes. We didn't see the staring off, counting down the moments till they could eat a snack. Like I think we did a good job of really creating opportunities for them to be present. But then if they need to go check their email, like we have that break built in to do so.
Flow was fire. So good. Like I think we nailed that. I honestly don't think there's much of anything I would change. The only thing that maybe we could break out more like 20-minute breaks, because a few of our Q&A sessions went a little longer. But I also just think like in time we refine our, how we talk about it. So the flow was great. To get to that point, we will say preparing for a conference is a lot of work for not as big of a financial return as our group program, for example. So lots of work, not the most financial return, but we did feel returns in other ways.
Ooh, could be. Now I'm like musing. I'm like, could we turn this into a mini group program?
You always, Emily is trying so hard to get me back into group.
I know. Let's
never say never.
Again.
Never say never.
Let's make group happen. Okay, yeah, it was a lot of work, and to that same point, like there was a lot of reminders that we needed, and we communicated as much as we could via email. And then the intention that we had was to bring people into like a private channel within the circle community and keep the conversation and flow there. I think the biggest learnings that we had is just because we put them there doesn't mean that they hang out there. And so we should have been even more intentional of saying like, hey, all reminders for upcoming event sessions will be posted in this specific channel. Rather, we unlocked the channel, but we didn't really say what was going to happen in the channel.
We pinned it in the channel. So they had to go in the channel. We had all the instructions, but they had to show up there.
Exactly.
To get it. Yeah.
So it was like we missed the bridge to like remind them that it all happened in the channel and to like wait for it to happen. And I think I was talking to Lex about this before we went live. I'm such like a pre-prep person before I go to a conference that I have like all of the links on my calendar, and I use my calendar as reminders, where we tried to keep all of the links in the channel again so we could have them engaged in the channel. And there were a few like moments before we opened up and dropped our first announcement that people were like, where's the link? How do I get into the conference? And we're like, oh, our bad. Sorry about that.
And our thought process was we wanted to use this as an opportunity for people to practice and use the circle community. And I still, I see the pros and cons to it. I think we could have done a better job, to your point, of like prepping them ahead of time, maybe even like a pre-con. I don't know.
Pre-con.
But we did a great job at like rescheduling drops, and like everything that you needed to know was in circle. Some people were great and active circle users, some people weren't. So we haven't received surveys back yet, so that'll be another interesting thing to collect feedback on.
I think that was I have to say the biggest feedback that we got was how amazing our GIF selection is.
Giphy, the GIFs.
GIFs. Giphy. Yeah. I think
Most proud of that personally.
yeah, that took us the longest. It wasn't the writing. It was like making sure that the Giphy was on point with everything. So, I think that being said, it was a lot of prep, but now we have the work. Now we have like a template for how to do it if we were to replicate it again. I will also say, and this is something we reiterated within the conference, that, we didn't start building it until we had more than 3 people signed up. So
Yes.
it wasn't like we built all the work and then we sent out the marketing material. It was we sold it first before we built it. So we also kind of had an understanding of who was going to be in the room so we could cater the conversations exactly to who we wanted. And yeah, I think that's all.
So many lessons. I mean, there's one other thing I think we could do
Oh
better
yeah.
on. Yeah, we attempted to do some day of upsells. However, we did them very passively. And by very passively meaning they just were like scheduled posts within the channel, but there was also like 50 things that dropped that day. So it got buried. We didn't talk about it. We mentioned it a few times,
Yeah.
but to our defense, on the other hand, I don't think you and I are naturally like our vibe isn't a hard sell, sell, sell. And I do think there is, people already paid and showed up for something. They don't want to expect to be sold all day. But from the financial standpoint, we didn't, I don't know, we'll have to rethink that if there are opportunities for upsells, how to more authentically and effectively do them in the future.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing. My brain is going to, we have a ton of like refugees who have come to Denver recently, and I appreciate their work ethic, and they don't take no as an answer. And they have been cleaning my, whatchamacallit, my windshield. They'll like be like, windshield cleaning, and I'll be like, no, thank you. And then they'll come over and they'll start doing it. And I'm like pulling out cash and paying them, or I don't have cash on me. And I'm like, sorry, I just got a free windshield cleaning. But in a way, I'm like, oh, I appreciate it. They are just,
As a business owner, I feel like I have such a different appreciation for things like that than people who are not business owners do. When Crick Squirrel was in Mexico like a few weeks ago, and it's the first time I've been back to Mexico since becoming an entrepreneur, and I had a whole new feeling about the haggling process. Like my mother-in-law, who's a teacher, was like, CJ is so good at haggling, you need to haggle more. But I was like, but this is these people's livelihoods.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I kind of want to give them money. Like I kind of like props to them for standing out here every day. And I never felt that before I was an entrepreneur.
Yeah, you have to, I agree, like asking for things and putting yourself out there and that fear of rejection. It's
And I did
so,
haggle a little, but like,
yeah,
but I had just a different mindset. I'm like, okay, no, I'm not going to give you $50 for a paper
yeah,
pencil, but I'm also not going to try to get you down to nothing
yeah.
because I respect this is your livelihood as well.
Yeah. You're more like, no, that you need it more. Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you. I completely see that. And that's a whole different conversation about like not taking advantage. Yeah. You don't want to take advantage of someone.
Yeah. But take advantage of the knowledge we dropped today.
Oh,
I think a lot of this is thank you,
yeah, well done.
transferable to things other than conferences, right? And I think the biggest thing the biggest gift you can give yourself, and again, another props to Emily and I, because we really did go into this
Mhm.
conference with this mindset, is anytime you're doing something for the first time, something new, give yourself grace and know you're going to learn something and expect it. Emily and I went in saying one way or the other, this is going to be a win because we're going to learn so much about this process.
And that's what we said when we created the group. And that's what we said
Yep.
when we created our sprints. And that's what we like all of the things have been learning experiences. So, another great learning experience. And if you are interested in the conference, look out for the poll we're about to drop too on what days of the week and months work for you. Because maybe we'll do it again. Who knows?
Yeah. Who knows?
Who knows?
And your homework was already given at the top of the show. Say something nice to someone today. Make them feel seen and heard.
Or help someone put their freaking luggage up because it's everyone's first time flying, it feels like.
Yeah.
Expedite that process.
Be a good person.
Be
and
a
on
good-
that note,
we'll see you the next time
on the Ready, Set, Coach podcast.
If you're enjoying the Ready, Set, Coach podcast, please leave a review wherever you are listening. For more information about Ready, Set, Coach, visit readysetcoachprogram.com.